I need this coffee bad. I went to the Bronx Zoo the other day. The gorillas. The gorillas were the most fascinating creatures that you could ever see. One gorilla was sitting a female gorilla was sitting in front of the glass, just like this. Like looking at everybody with contempt. And you know what? If there were kids all around. So I mean, what am I going to do? But I wanted to give this thing a stare down. I wanted to go right up to the glass. Isn't that funny? It's like people are not much smarter than gorillas. I wanted to be alone with this gorilla so I could stare her down and make her so uncomfortable that she would get up and leave. That would have been like a victory for me. And the whole time I'm thinking to myself, what am I, a fucking gorilla? And then the thing would sit there, and every once in a while, it would grab its own tit and drink like some milk from its own tit. And I was looking at the thing like, oh, you uncivilized brute. I don't know, that's what I was thinking. I said, Jesus Christ. I felt like looking in the thing's eyes and whipping out my cell phone. Here, this is us. What do you got? You're sitting there sucking on your tit and picking your nose. Oh my God, they pick their nose. They got this huge finger. It's like this huge dried out finger. Oh, and they have no problem getting knuckle deep in that snot locker, baby. They're fucking disgusting animals. You know what's funny about gorillas, though? I'm looking at these gorillas and I'm saying to myself, there was this one gorilla sitting on a tree branch there. And I said, this is a good-looking gorilla. Like, compared to other gorillas that I've seen, I'm like, this is an attractive gorilla. And I said, I wonder if all the other gorillas think, like, this guy's attractive. Because some of the gorillas were plain ugly. I don't know what it was about them. They were uglier. And I said, this guy, compared to the other ones, was very good looking. He was like the George Clooney of the gorillas at the zoo. And all I could think to myself is, this guy's getting all the bitches. And then I wondered if they're looking at us and thinking the same thing, like, oh, that's a good-looking guy right there. Not me, of course, maybe somebody else. And they sit there and they think to themselves, that's not a bad-looking one of those things. I don't know. All these thoughts come rushing into your head. I know the solution to fucking the goddamn lions at the zoo that do nothing but lay around all day. I give them a cup of this fucking coffee, baby. There were people down there they had a camera crew down there filming, because the lions, they look like, to be honest with you, they got it set up, they look like they're laying in the Serengeti out there. I see they had a film crew, like National Geographic. Like 7 people. They had tripods set up, lights. They had guys with meters running around everywhere. I'm like, they're filming these guys. They're filming these lions like they're in the wild for like a documentary. This is nothing but a big fucking ruse. I don't know. You know how we have geniuses, right? We got Steve Jobs. We got that other, who is he? The Tesla guy. running around. What's his name? Ah, God almighty. What a dead brain. I'm brain dead at this point in my life. Who's the Steve Jobs of, like, gorillas? Isn't there one? There's got to be at least one gorilla out there that can program in QBasic. All right. I don't know what it is. I need more coffee. I just went on a spending spree yesterday. I couldn't help myself. I didn't hook up the fucking mic. I didn't hook up the mic. All right, there we go. Testing, testing, testing. All right. I got news for you. I'm going back to DVDs. And I'm not talking about Blu-rays. Because quite frankly, it's not important to me anymore. And I got news for you. When you watch a Blu-ray movie, it ruins the movie. For some reason, Blu-ray movies, they look different than movies do. I don't know if... It looks like you're watching a play. The resolution's so clear, it looks like you're watching a play. It almost looks like you're watching something fake. Does anybody experience this? Anyhow, it kind of takes me back sometimes when I'm watching like an old movie that I love. I don't need such high resolution. And now you can pick up DVDs for nothing. You're not paying more than $1 for a DVD. So here we go. I mean, first off, I look in this frickin' bin of DVDs, and it's like the first 3 seasons of the Thundercats. Oh! What, are you kidding me? I was watching... Oh, man. You just don't get cartoons like this anymore. I'm watching... Last night I was so excited. I took my son and my wife finally went out for once in a goddamn life. And I took my son, we went downstairs. I said, we're going downstairs. We're going to watch the Thundercats. I mean, you watch one episode of the Thundercats. I never forgot. I never remembered how many times Lion-O says Thundercats. It's like every 3 minutes. Thunder. 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 It's like, all right, Lion-O, we get it. But by the end of the first show, my son keeps on saying Thundercats. Ho! It was great. It was great. And you know what? Lion-O, look at this. Number one, it takes you to about 3 episodes to realize that Mumra is a real piece of shit. And Lion-O, I mean, what happened to superheroes like Lion-O? Remember, Lion-O and He-Man, they go right down the same parallel. They're such good guys. Now Panthro, there's always a moral lesson. Remember He-Man talking to Man-at-Arms? Well, just because they tried to destroy our kingdom doesn't mean we didn't have something to learn from these goblins. He was such a good guy. It's like, here are guys that are clearly taking steroids. I mean, He-Man looks like he's taking like Diana Ball. And what's the other one? Trembolone. You know, it's not. Today He-Man would be like, "Geez, you know something, Man at Arms. I wouldn't mind opening up Teela's can with my veiny pry bar." All right. Anyhow, here we go. So look at that. All that Thundercats right there. So intelligent too. I don't know, the cartoons back then were so intelligent. Talking about black holes, the Thundercats were flying through space. It's like, where did they get the nerve? They came from the jungle. Next thing you know, they're flying through outer space toward a black hole. Somebody winds up throwing the Sword of Omen into a black hole, so they go through the black hole, and Lion-O's sitting there explaining to me what a black hole is. And movies. I'm going for movies again. They're so damn cheap. And I got news for you. This Netflix is the worst thing ever made. There's like 3 good movies on Netflix. And that's it. I mean, I used to have the Amazon Fire Stick. It was my friend jailbroke it for me. I don't know how to do it. The fucking thing doesn't work anymore. I just want DVDs. I just want to be able to put something in a DVD player. I'm an old man now. I need the phone with the big buttons. So I'm enjoying going out to garage sales and finding, I said, this is it. I said, I want only the greatest movies. Well, that's what I said to myself. I'm going to buy only the greatest movies. And, well, you know, I already kind of downgraded since then. So, here we go. Young Frankenstein. This is a must-have. This is a must-have strictly for the fact the scene where Frankenstein gets taken in by the blind guy, and he pours the soup on his lap, and he lights his finger on fire like a cigar. Ah, man. Young Frankenstein. I'm looking for Mighty Joe Young. Whatever happened to that one? Why in movie land, everywhere you look, you can't see Mighty Joe Young? What happened here? Did Bill Cosby buy the rights to that movie too? Mighty Joe Young, one of the greatest movies ever made. Please. Please. It's animal rights activists, I guarantee it. Remember when he's slinging around those lions? They would show in stop motion him throw a lion, and then you'd see a real lion skid across the floor, slamming into like tables and chairs. I said, the animal rights activists got to this movie. Mighty Joe Young. Remember in Mighty Joe Young when the 2 drunk guys, they got Mighty Joe Young locked up in like a jail cell. He's doing like an act, and I guess after the act, they got him locked up in a cage downstairs. It's like a jail cell. And the 2 drunk guys come down. Like, they sneak down to visit Mighty Joe Young. Well, they happen upon him somehow, one way or another. And the one guy's like, "Hey, look at him. He's slowly." And then Mighty Joe Young, like, playfully, like, takes the booze bottle from the guy, and he's like, it's like a whole bottle of booze, and Joe Young's like, "Go," and drinks it, the whole thing. And the drunk guy goes, "Drink all my booze, will you?" And he takes out a lighter and he this is like going to the zoo. He takes this lighter and he lights Mighty Joe Young's finger on fire. And that's what makes him go bonkers and break out of the prison cell. What a classic movie. That and King Kong. Good luck going on Netflix and watching King Kong. Anyway, Caddyshack, I mean, you know. This is a movie that if you work around any type of businessmen, they all go bananas for Caddyshack. And Animal House for some reason. If you work around financial advisors, They can all stand around and talk and recite Caddyshack forever. It's like getting around Italians. They all can recite Goodfellas for you. You get around business people, for some reason they all know Caddyshack, line for line. Unfaithful, hell of a movie. Hell of a movie. That's all I'm gonna say. All right, moving along. Oh yeah, so the Thundercats. This whole thing was $10. Hey, how could you go wrong? $10. Ho! All right, here we go. And look at this. For $1. I couldn't pass it up. It's Voltron. It's a Voltron box set. Voltron Collection 1 Blue Lion. I mean, wasn't Voltron one of those exciting cartoons, you know, that it's straight out of Japan land? Look at this thing. Metal case? Sure. For $1. For me, these cartoons, Saturday morning cartoons, Voltron, Silverhawks, I mean, these beautiful animations. Give me Voltron, give me the Silverhawks. I remember when my friend had the whole Voltron toy. You know, Rex. The kid had everything. He had the whole, how obnoxious to have the whole Voltron toy. I remember I had the yellow lion, and I think it was a knockoff lion, and my Aunt Con got it for me. He used to shoot missiles out of the, used to shoot missiles. Oh, it was the greatest thing ever. But then you would fold it up and it was like a leg. It's like, Rex had the whole thing. I had the leg. Yeah, here we go. I mean, speaking of old cartoons, or old movies, I got this PKE meter from the Ghostbusters. I get it home and I get the PKE meter and the proton. What is this? The proton projector? You put the slides in there, and then you can, like, you know, and it says sound. I don't know what kind of sound this thing makes. I don't know. You put the batteries in here. I get this shit home. I paid $1 for this, $1 for this, and $0.25 for a Sony Walkman. All right. I find out that the PKE meter is broken when I get home. It's got like a snapped off antennae. And then I find out that I'm looking at the proton projector. I'm like, oh, how cool! Where do I put the batteries? And the fucking handle's cracked. So it's like, you know, these are these toys that I would sit and drool over in Toys R Us. You know, I don't know. Ghostbusters. It was a craze. It was a craze. I remember, what, 1984? 1984, me and my buddy Rex would pee together. Remember when that was a thing? Where your mother would make you pee with your friend? And when we would pee in the toilet, we would pretend like we were shooting the proton cannons. And we couldn't cross the streams. That was a fun and creative game in the toilet. Remember when two kids could sit there and take a piss into a toilet without pulling out a measuring tape? It was like, don't cross the streams. So innocent. I do remember in elementary school, taking a piss. Remember you would go, the boys would line up to go in the bathroom to take a piss? And I do remember taking notice of one boy's dick. His name was Dave. He was tremendous. Like, if it was the third grade, this kid was like, he looked like he was in high school already. I don't know what the story was with this lunkhead, if he got left back or whatnot, but I remember he had an enormous dick. And I remember we talked about it at the urinal, because that's what kids could do that. I probably said, I probably even told my mother about it. I said, Dave, you got a really big dick over there. No, we probably said penis, right? I don't even know what we said. Wow, you got a big wee-wee, Dave. What would you say? We didn't really curse about it yet. We didn't start cursing until the 5th grade. I remember distinctly when I started cursing. I met my friend Rob. I know their last names. I don't necessarily want to say them. I know all their last names. Me and Rob would hit the playground, and Rob would talk filthy curses. And I was like, hey, why not? We're cursing, right? And then me and Rob would just pal around. We'd run around like dogs in the park, cursing. Fuck this and fuck that and shit and asshole. Oh, we thought it was a great thing. Pussy. Woo! Me and Rob, we'd go hang out. They had these bushes that were trimmed almost like a fort. We'd go climb up in the bush and fucking curse the whole time. Oh, I thought I was doing something so bad, but it was great. I remember as soon as we would meet in the playground, because you're good the whole time in school. The teachers are leading you around. Here, get your chocolate milk and where's your bagged lunch and put your jacket in the coat closet. And then we go out and as soon as I'd see Rob, I'd say, hey Rob, how the fuck are you? Hey, fuck you, you son of a bitch. I don't know. Anyhow, look at this. Who doesn't want a gas-powered RC car? I mean, you can find these things laying around everywhere. You got to understand something. When I was a kid, to own a gas-powered car, you had to be like a sheik from Saudi Arabia. Who had that kind of money? And if you had an airplane, an RC airplane, listen, you could go into Target right now and get one of those little quadcopters for like $15. No exaggeration. Fly the thing around your house, land it on a teapot. This thing right here, God, let me tell you something right now. To have anything radio controlled and flying back in the day, number one, the radio alone would cost you about $1,500. Cost you about $500 for the radio. Remember, it had to have like 8 channels. Your goddamn airplane had to have like 9 servos. I mean, you had to have money, Jack, if you were going to fly, if you're going to have something radio controlled that could fly. Kids these days, they have no idea. They're flying around in drones with HD cameras zipping around on a gimbal. They can fly it into your bathroom window while you're taking a dump and film you. Not back in my day, pal. Oh my God. Oh, and if you wanted an RC helicopter, remember they had the whole training thing. If you had an RC helicopter, it was such an expensive endeavor. They actually had computer simulated programs that you could buy that were dedicated to replicating what it was like to fly your RC helicopter. That way, if you'd fucking crash the thing on the first day, you didn't take a bottle of sleeping pills. There was an actual mechanism you could buy for your RC helicopter that would clamp to it, and like you could do like practice flights with up and down and turn and this and learn about it, because that thing crashed, man. It was like a couple $1,000. Anyhow, I see this like gas-powered car here, little gas-powered buggy here, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh my God, wouldn't that be fun? Show my kid, a gas-powered car. It was my dream as a kid to have a gas-powered remote control car. It was so out of the realm of possibility to have one back when I was a kid. So I'm sitting there and I'm looking at this thing, and it looks so generic in this box. This looks like some piece of crap toy that you could just get off the shelf. And I look at the goddamn price tag. It says Larry's Hobby, $279.99. I was like, ooh. I was like, we got something here. I said, hey, how much you want for the RC car? The guy's like, oh, he goes, I don't know. He goes, I I barely used it. It's that old gag, right? I say, yeah, okay. He goes, I don't know. He goes, $20. He goes, hold on, let me take it out of the box and make sure that the engine turns over. Because he goes, I'll feel bad if the engine doesn't turn over. I said, okay. He pulls it out of the box. It's got a hand pull on it. Boom. He was like, boom, boom, boom. Pulled it a couple times. I don't know what I'm listening for. Does the thing have compression? I don't know. I'm listening. Boom, boom. Sounded good to me. $20? I'll take it. Look at this thing. Oil-filled shocks. I mean, I've been so out of the RC game for so long. I saw oil-filled shocks. Here. I saw oil-filled shocks, and I was in at $20. All right. Is everybody bored to death? All right. Before we get to that, and another thing. All right. You ready for a Polish garage sale? Polish garage sale. She had all this like video game. I don't know what you call it. Models. Video game characters like the Assassin's Creed bust, and all these like Halo figures, and like all these video game figures. So I say to the lady, Polish woman, I say to her, hey, you got any video games? And she goes to me like I asked the most ridiculous question. She goes, no, no. Just like that. What would it have been like? What would it have been like if she had bottles of water everywhere and I asked her if she had a drink? That's stupid. It was like if she had books and matches everywhere and I walked up with a cigarette, you have a light? No, no. Alright. Anyway, she had this fucking, I don't know what this thing is, Halo Reach. I thought it was neat though. Look at that. It's dusty. Whoa. Whoa. That's clean now. I blow this thing off with the air compressor. It's brand new. Noble, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know anything about Halo. But here you go. What is that? A bunch of Space Marines hanging out there? Very interesting. It's very nice. It's very nice. $5. I don't know. Yeah. I'll put that on the mantle in my living room. We'll see how that flies with the old lady. All right. Here we go. You ready for this? We found some video games. I really couldn't believe it, to be honest with you, because the Sharks were out in full force. That's all I kept on hearing. Oh yeah, everybody's asking about video games today. It almost makes you want to give up. But for some strange reason, it was a beautiful morning, and I wasn't in the mood to give up. And how about that? There's a lesson to be learned there, guys. The Sharks can't hit every single sale. You know it. You go out to the sales. You can't hit every one. I know I can't hit every one. I know I miss a bunch of them. It happens. And sometimes you just show up in the right place at the right time. So stick with it. Stick with it. I want you guys to find stuff, just not around me. Alright? Just don't come around here. Because I'm not above cutting your brake lines if I see you. Alright, here we go. The first video game related thing I ran into was a guy. I asked him if he had any video games. He goes, yeah, I think I got something in the house. He goes, I think I got a Super Nintendo. So I said, oh, Super Nintendo. He goes, you're interested? I said, yeah, sure. He goes to the house, he comes out, he brings out this box. I had some Super Nintendo stuff in there. And I say to him, how much? He goes, $40? I said, 40? I said, I give him the old, I always keep every denomination of bill inside my wallet. So I'm thumbing through my wallet and I'm like, hey, I always keep $100 bill in my wallet. So I pull it, I dig out 30. I say, I got 30, you know, and just to kind of not be too much of a scumbag, I say, I got 30 and I got 100. Do you got change for 100? 15%. I'd say 85% of the time they don't have change for 100, and they'll just dive on the 30. What did you think? I had scruples? So the guy's like, he's like, oh, he's sitting there like, and then he's doing one of these, like he's about to say, okay, and this woman goes, I got change for 100. I was like, are you? I just wanted to. I am getting to the age where I'm going to snap, and I'm just going to. Are you just a big dumb dummy? I'm just going to say it one day. I got to get new camera glasses because I'm going to say it one day. And I'm like, oh, gee, thanks. She gives me change. I wound up paying 40 for it. Could have had it for 30. Easily. Anyhow. It's a Super Nintendo. Look, it's the Eddie Bauer edition Super Nintendo. Look at, how does it get like that? Two-tone like that. How does that happen? Is it a different type of plastic on the bottom? I know the guy wasn't fooling with it. Anyhow. It's got all the goddamn wires and everything. You know. Super Mario All-Stars, Super Mario World. Boy, we've been coming across this game a lot lately. That's a good thing. Super Mario World. Tetris 2. Here's another game you run across a lot. Donkey Kong Country. Super Mario Kart. And, well, here we go. NBA Jam. This is a game people don't talk about enough, and that's because of its I think its relevance in the arcade. Has a sports game ever had such an impact on the arcades? Guys, remember the crowds around NBA Jam? And I mean, we're talking about all walks of life here. We're talking about, you had jocks in there playing NBA Jam. People that normally wouldn't play arcades. Kids that love basketball so much would be in there playing NBA Jam. This was the Street Fighter 2 of sports games. You guys don't really understand. If you didn't grow up in the arcades, oh man, you sorry sons of bitches that didn't have the arcade. I really feel bad for you. You young kids out there, you don't know what you missed. You missed a great American institution. How fun was it to watch NBA Jam, a sports game? It was fantastic. He's on fire. Remember that? Charles Barkley. Barkley. And then there was all the the like oddball, unlockable characters. I don't know how they did it in the arcade. What was there, a code you could put in or something? People were like playing as like Abraham Lincoln.
Scorpions. Monster Jam!
Yeah, it was fantastic. It really was. Yeah, there you go. Super Nintendo. With some games there. $40. Here we go. That's nice. That's nice, but this is what I'm really excited about. I go to this garage sale. There's this huge guy. I mean, the typical Long Island meathead, you know. This guy looks like he's juiced to the tits and daddoos everywhere, you know. The hot girlfriend. I mean, he's your typical Long Island snapperhead. Nice guy, though. Nice guy. That's fine. I love it. I love it. Anyhow, I asked him if he has any video games. You know, he's like, I don't. He's like, no, I don't think so. And I'm like, you know, old Nintendo, Sega. He goes, Sega. He goes, I think I got a Sega. And he goes in the house and he comes out. He comes out with his bag. And he lays it out. It's a Sega Genesis with a couple of games in there. And I'm interested because I see one game in particular. It happens to be my favorite. It's my favorite Sega Genesis game of all time. And I got news for you. I don't know who came up with this idea. I think I might have came up with this idea. I got to get a new set of camera glasses. And I want to get a heart monitor that I can sync up on display with the camera glasses. Because I tell you, when I saw this game, my heart almost jumped out of my chest. And I saw this lot of stuff, and I said, I don't care what I gotta pay. There's no way I'm walking out of here without the stuff. Anyhow, so the guy's sitting there looking at it. He's sitting there looking at it, and he's like, He's like, $15. I was like, sold. Whipped it out and walked away. Nice guy. Real nice guy. Anyhow. This guy had shoulders like an aircraft carrier. It's like, I always wanted shoulders like that. I got little girl shoulders. You know? Some guys got big wide shoulders. Isn't that nice? To be honest with you, I'm going to tell you what. You don't want big wide shoulders because guess what? Your shoulder sockets, the way they mount, guys with big shoulders, it always comes back to bite them in the end. At the end of it, you know, as they get older. Because your shoulders are, like your hip sockets are very deep into your hips. That's why it's very rare to have hip problems, even though people have hip problems when they get older. But your shoulders have a very shallow, like ball and truncheon socket. I don't know what it's called. So it seems to me if you have big wide shoulders, you have more leverage on that socket. That's what I tell myself. All right? That's what I tell myself, so I can enjoy my skinny shoulders. What the fuck are we talking about here? Here we go. It's a Sega Genesis. The Model 1, right? The good old Model 1. Huh? If you have a Sega Genesis... If you don't have a Sega Genesis, this is the Sega Genesis to have, right? Anyhow. Got the CADs. It's got one official joystick and one absolutely ridiculous looking joystick. Look at this one. The Striker. Huh? How about that one? Alright. And here the game. Oh wow, I didn't even see this one. I did not even see it. E-SWAT. Wow, no manual. Oh, here's the manual. No cover on the case. E-SWAT. Wow, he was a popular one. But what did this guy do? He ripped out the, what the hell's even going on here? It's Buster Douglas knockout boxing. What? Alright, the game's in there. And the manual's in the sleeve. And then there's just this piece cut out. I don't know, I don't get it. Buster Douglas boxing. And here we go. The real draw here was probably the most fantastic, one of the most fantastic 16-bit RPGs. Here we go. My favorite RPG of all time, and it's a game that I've never found in the wild, so I'm really excited to sit here with you 8 years later and check out Phantasy Star 2. Wow. Phantasy Star 2. I think I need paper. No, yeah. Phantasy Star 2. Ooh. I know all the music for Phantasy Star 2. It's all up here. Wow. Look at the artwork, huh? Wow, what is that fantastical artwork on the cover there? Wow, it's this guy, he's with his broad. This is great. This is great. 6 mega memory, a massive adventure. They weren't lying. What a follow-up to Phantasy Star. What a follow-up. My biggest regret growing up is not having a Master System. My only access to a Master System was through my friend Frank. And he only had 3 games for it. He had Astro Warrior, he had Hang On. It was Astro Warrior and Hang On. He had 4 games. Astro Warrior and Hang On one game. Then it was Double Dragon and Gangsta Town, which was a light gun game. But wow, having never played Phantasy Star, and you know what? When I played Phantasy Star 2, I never thought to myself, "Hey, where's the original Phantasy Star?" I never knew where it was. But here we go. Oh my God, this really... Listen, on the Nintendo, I would play the Dragon Warrior series. Up to... I played 1 and 2. I mean, that was the extent of my role-playing on the Nintendo. A little Final Fantasy. So when I got to the Genesis, I borrowed this game from my buddy VS. We went to karate together, and he let me borrow this game. And boy, this one just changed my life. It made me an RPG fan. This really cemented it for me. Wow, where were you flying? You were flying to different planets. And you were driving around in different vehicles. And I remember I got stuck in this game for like a week. Maybe 2 weeks. I didn't know how to get to another place in the game. And boy, there was no strategy guide, even though it came with one. 110-page hint book included. And I remember I had the hint book and I refused to read it. Oh my God, Discipline of a Samurai. I wasn't reading a hint book. I said, why am I playing this game if I'm going to read a hint book? If I read the hint book, I'm not playing a game anymore. I love how these young kids, they buy a game and they buy the strategy guide along with it. What? My buddy Phil did that once. He was playing a game and piddling through the strategy guide at the same time. You're not playing the game anymore. This never made sense to me. It doesn't have the hint book. It has the manual in the game. And I mean, the other games are all shit. Oh, we got Altered Beast here. How about that? I guess that's complete. How about that? Oh my God. Yeah. Altered Beast, I can go on and on about Altered Beast in the arcade. Wow. What an arcade experience. But here we go. It came with a 110-page hint book, and what a lot of people forget, there was like a little unfoldable thing that had all the spells in there and what they did. And I used that because I was all about animated spells. And this game had animated spells for the first time I've ever seen. You would use a spell in Dragon Warrior and it was like whoop-de-doo, it came up in text. Here we go, I would use a spell here and you could actually see the character perform the spell. Oh, shoot the laser or the fireball or whatnot. He would actually perform the spell. And you would see the attacks as well. This is fantastic. Oh, what a way to get your feet wet with an RPG in the 16-bit era on your Sega Genesis. Ladies and gentlemen, Phantasy Star 2. This is one of the most exciting finds for me in a long, long time, baby. There you have it. There you have it. And some mouse droppings too. Hey, how about that? Ladies and gentlemen, you just tuned in to the greatest video game program in the history of human civilization. And you better believe that. With a 4K face! We'll see you next time. One of the most important things I forgot to mention about the Super Nintendo. Here we go. There was a Super Game Boy in here. Here's another thing I've been clamoring for. This is something I've never found. And people find these Super Game Boys like Skittles out there in the wild. And for some reason I haven't been able to find. So there you go. We got a Super Game Boy. And how about that? There's a copy of Motocross Maniacs in there. Ultra Game, huh? Konami? Motocross Maniacs. I remember it was one of the first Game Boy games I ever played along with Tetris. So isn't that neat? In a Super Game Boy. What a package. What a package. What a great idea, Nintendo. For once in your life. Alright. That's it.